right, here we go. Last week of the year. Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Good evening. There we go. Word didn't want to come out. Um, we see the markets are kind of starting off slow and steady. Let's see what we have up there. Oh, that's the S&P, which is now taking out a high of the day, I think. I think that's how we see it there. Let's get over to the Swiss. And you can see right there, there's the Swiss kind of unchanged, bouncing up a little bit. Went into the weekly sell last week. We're thinking, maybe there's some downside action that's going to occur, and then all of a sudden, we get this type of action. Again, I've been warning for 6 weeks. These markets are all geared towards taxes and the finishing off of the year, and that's how that works. And so, don't get too confident in any particular trend. The days of, there was a time when markets were more moved by individual investors, or let's say investors and funds and traders and markets at the exchanges and so forth, and there was a bullish or bearish type of points of view. Now our number one buyer used to be the last buyer of last resort was the exchange specialists, and it was the institutions, and it was things like that. Now it's the Federal Reserve, and so since it's the Federal Reserve, it's kind of hard to compare what we saw throughout history, like Santa Claus rallies and end of the year buying. We see flavors of it. We see dollar cost averaging at the beginning of the month. We see dollar cost averaging at the end of the month. That's the classic training that most hedge fund managers have. But after that, it's kind of like a real hodgepodge, because again, they have over 1.5 trillion in overnight repos and so forth. So they're flooding the marketplace with capital all the time to hold the markets up. This is the Federal Reserve. Trust me, the New York specialists and the fund managers never plowed $1.5 trillion overnight money, night after night after night after month after month after month after year. Okay, they never did anything like that. So, I've had some people here say, "Hey, what about the Santa Claus rally?" And I'm like, well, it can come, maybe, I don't know. I just follow the numbers anymore, since we're dealing with a situation now where markets move not because of investors or earnings or inflation or employment. They move for stability, and that is pretty much the whole structure of it all now. So it's stability and desire of where the Federal Reserve really wants it. If they want it to be up, it's going to be up. If they want it to be down, it'll be down. And whatever reason they decide that is what they decide. So here we are, the last 4 trading days of the year. And so, the only answer to it at this point in time is, right now, I would assume most of the activity is geared towards the institutions, taking profits. It's been an up year, so what they need to do is offset the losses with those profits. And that's the whole way it plays out. So, and then, if you want to go to reminisce of the past, usually the first 2 days of the new year can also have that same flavor of the last couple days of the end of the year. But again, it's we're not in that type of era anymore, so anything goes at this point. It wouldn't be abnormal if they were opposites of each other, or if they were equals with each other. In other words, if they were up in the last couple days of the end of the year, then they're up a couple days. You can look at it and say, oh, well, that's normal. Well, nothing is normal anymore with quantitative easing. As we take a sip of our coffee after all that. Not coffee, I'm sorry, tea. And so there we go. It's you see it on J4X, same situation. The dollar Swiss has been moving down. There's pressure on it. It looks like they're trying to sell dollars. you know, and we have that end of the year thing where we're always stunned going into the first couple days or the first week and a half of, or 3 weeks going into the new year, where you see where central banks were covering their positions and borrowing capital from the Federal Reserve, which we always talk about here as one of the more stranger things I've ever seen. And that is that you would think that since they're all floating capital, like the ECB is putting out 60 billion a month of new money. Interest rates are below zero, and then sometimes they go and borrow money to close their positions out, which seems incredibly strange. If you're floating 60 billion a month, why can't you float 61 or 62 billion a month and not have to borrow from the Federal Reserve? So all these events that we see physically, not rumored, physically, we see it in the balance sheet. Is we see the Fed balance sheet and who borrows money and who doesn't borrow money and who pays back money and who doesn't pay back money. We see that after about 3 weeks. And it always amazes me. It really says how much the Federal Reserve is running the planet's financial system and how much we are away from the norms that we've known for centuries. So, all right, that finishes all up on that train of thought. Now let's go over to the euro and see what that is doing, or she's doing, or he's doing, or whatever you want to call the euro at the moment. And there it is right there on JForex. It went into a weekly buy last week, and you can see a lot of green here the last couple days. And let's take a look at it over on Chicago Quant. Right there. And it's moving down a little bit, which is a little surprising. You can see here our work is already trying to throw it. It's in the red already. If it stays like that for a couple more hours, you'll find JForex joining in with that. At the same time, we went into a weekly buy, and at the moment, I think we're just plus by the hair of a chinny chin. So we are 0.00015. We're just plus by that much. Hey 47, how you doing? Can we look at the S&P and the Nikkei? Sure. Let's see, where is that? That is over here. Oop, what was that? There we go. Now here is the S&P to start off with. Let's give you a view of it, and we're going to throw it up on JForex too at the same time. Right there. And here it is on Chicago Quant. You see we're playing with the weekly buy this morning. Been in the daily buy for, this is the fourth day in the daily buy. And you can see on Chicago, on JForex, 3 good days right now in the daily buy. And what else can we say about that? Again, maybe they need to window dress. Now window dress doesn't seem to has not been has been consistent still. In other words, out of all the odd changes we've seen, with central bank being the buyer of last resort and throwing incredible amounts of money overnight at markets. Can you imagine? They give Citadel, one of the largest, I guess you could say, quantitative hedge funds, they give them like $1.5 billion a night. They're plowing money like that into all these funds. They want stability. They want to see the marketplace firm, up, positive, So you can see there's your S&P. Now let's drift our way over to right there. There's the Nikkei. Nikkei's doing the same thing. It's going on a 4th day. Let's see if we can find it over here on JForex. Let's see. Okay, that's it. There you go. You see there, same situation, lots of green. The lines are moving up. Same situation. And just like the way the S&P is doing. Let's go down to the S&P again. there. Were the lines on there? Yeah. Yeah, it's moving up. Okay. So you can see there, both of these products, these stock indices are showing more buyers and sellers, that type of thing. You see, I think, where did we go into the buy on this one? There is the 11th, and then there's the 23rd, 25th, okay, so right there, 18th. So did we go into buy on the 18th? No, we just missed it. So that's why we had that little circle in there. Just missed it by the hair. Look at that. Minus 6.67. Minus 6.67. Almost. And then last week they put it into the buy, and now this, I know I saw most of the world indices kind of minus overnight, so that's not surprising me too much. I guess that's about all we can say about that. I did look at something I thought was kind of interesting. Was the here, I'll show you another stock index that has had my eye, just wondering where it was going on, and that was the Russell 2000. Right, where's that? Right, it's right here somewhere. I know I saw it. There it is, Russell 2000. And Russell 2000 started bouncing last week, and it had a nice little bounce. Still way off its all-time highs. And money supposedly is watching that. A lot of the funds are watching that, and a lot of the money managers mention that a lot. They're like, we see, the low-income, low-cap stocks. That's what these are, low-capitalized companies. They're like $500 million. I think the largest one in there is like $2 billion or something like that. They keep on waiting for them to take off. When they take off, they think the rest of the market's going to take off. I hope that gave you the information you were looking for. If not, just shout it out. We'll find something else to dissect and try to take apart for you. Let's see. From there, we're going to go back over to the currencies unless 47 has an interest in something. And let's take a look at the British pound. It is finally doing it. It's doing that weekly buy thing. Let's see, where's that? Right there. It's lifting through. Let's see if you can see it on J4X. Now it's lifting up this morning, nice and firm. And over here, as the euro is still adrift, I guess you could describe it as, the cable right there is holding firm, and we are flirting with the weekly buy. See that? We're above. We thought that was going to end up that way last week. If it wasn't a shortened week. Oh, no problem, 47. If it wasn't a shortened week, I would have assumed that that might have got some legs into it. It might have been more aggressive. Hard to say. Just look at the way Thursday, Friday played out. It was pretty docile. Let's see. And so that is that. You can see the cable there. From there we go over to the Turkish lira. Now that we have a good grasp of what's going on, it's going to be an interesting experiment. And there is the dollar Turkish lira right there. Trying to bounce up a little bit, but still got that red thing going on. Let's take a look at it over here. Oh, you know what I want to do is, we got cable up there. Let's do this. Let's take a look and see what the weekly looks like. Since in Chicago Quant it's above the number at the moment. Let's see how it looks here. I'd imagine if it's not, oh yeah, see, it's showing just as much strength. Look at that. See, just the same way. That's good. This one's catching on nicely. All right, we love this simple concept right here with the hankies and the fast versus the slow. It's a good tool. All right, now let's go take a look at the dollar Turkish lira. And if you notice, we've put on the fact check spreadsheet, we are now, now we've moved the euro Turkish lira into the spot. So we're following the euro Turkish lira now, right there on line 17 versus the dollar one. Because it's it's pretty clear that that is the better of the two pairs trades. But this is like a laboratory. This is kind of fascinating. It's like an experiment. Watching the way the politics goes, watching the way the economic concepts go, and then watching the way the currency goes. You know, it's a free-floating currency, like the ruble or the dollar, or, you know, I mean, they're influenced by the governments, but the populations, the world traders can trade it at the same time. And that's what we like to follow, all the free-floating currencies. Let's see, so there is the, let's see, what is that? That's the dollar Turkish lira. And you can see here it's holding up, and you can see same thing. Let's see, did we put it in there? No, we did. Let's get it in there. Dollars Turkish lira. Right there. And that's the weekly chart on J4X. Let's see how it's treating it. It's treating it like that. Could be some red kicking in there, you know. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. It's trying. It's broken through. Now we'll see how, you know, how long it lasts like that. Sometimes it can be very insightful. Now let's jump over to the daily, like so. You know, and it shows that same weakness thing that was going on here. But this was pretty insightful. We had, this is the 5th day, whereas this is the 4th day, right there. So, wasn't very impressed with that fact. Let's see, widen that a little bit. Even, no, actually it's the 3rd day. So it didn't even go into a sell there. That's right there. So it's just 3 right here. Whereas over here on Euro Turkish lira, right there. You can see here the strength right there. You can see that thing is trying to make a move back up, but well, you can see it's just trying to bounce. It looked a little bit firmer on Friday because we were getting a currency market pretty clearly on Friday. And see right here, let's put it up on J4X. Right there. This is going to be, you know, in some ways it's, in many, you know, philosophically, the way, what they've done to adjust the Turkish lira, in other words, get some buyers into it, hold, you know, firm it up, reduce some of the inflation, is to a great extent what the Federal Reserve is doing to some extent. But the thing is that the Federal Reserve, it's on their balance sheet to keep everything the way it is. And in this case here, Turkey has made an effort to basically protect their currency by putting it on their balance sheet, I guess. You know, in other words, the countries, so it's like a tax. They're basically going to tax the population to keep the Turkish lira firm. I'm not sure how well that's going to do, but I am impressed that it's, here we are 5 days into it now, and it's holding up. So to me, I kind of, that's kind of like, ooh, that's not too bad. You know, in other words, hey, how about that? They actually seem to have firmed it up. So that is definitely something to think about. Is that we see the same thing. I'm not even sure how the ECB does it. I guess it is doing it. I guess in some ways Turkey is doing what the ECB is doing, really. Now, I'm not sure how the ECB exactly works. So the debt is, you know, are they stacking up tons of debt for the European Central Bank and the European Union? Maybe they are. Maybe they're just piling up tons of debt. That's why the interest rates are at 0 and below, because they're absorbing that. Now, from there, we go to Canadian. Let's see what they're doing with the Canadian. So it's a little popping up a little bit here, as you can see right there. Put it on J4X. Right there. And let's see, what do we got here? We've got, let's see, we've got Canadian trying to lift. On our work, it is lifting. And we're holding in a weekly buy. Let's see what it looks like on a weekly there. Let's see if the white line is pierced. Nope. So it's holding up pretty well on a weekly trend too. Let's see. So due to the fact that we're seeing that with the Canadian, in other words, the Canadian's moving up a little bit, we're thinking gold might be down, you know, oil could be flat, you know, that type of thing. So let's go take a look at that on J4X. And there's oil. You see it's trying to bounce up, I guess, or oil is moving up. So that is, but oh, okay, oil is down. Just check it out here on the Chicago Quant. Yeah, so it's down at the moment. Green dot though, just like J4X, you know, and the green hinkies. The weekly's being pierced, which is interesting. We've noticed that the back month is doing the same thing in the sense that it went into a weekly buy last week. So let's take a look at that. Let's see where we are. Yeah, let's do this. So there's the front month on J4X. And then you're going to see when we go over, we won't go through it now. We'll wait until we finish off the rest of the pairs trades. But when we go back to the energies, you're going to see that the June contract, the spring contract, closed in a buy last week. So it's kind of trying to tell us that the buyers are piercing their way into the system and trying to get it to lift. All right, from there, let's see, where do we go? Okay, so now what we're going to do is, since, you know, oh, we have to take a look at gold too, see what gold's doing. So oil is down a little bit, nothing major, but down. But not, technically it's trying to lift, so that's telling us something there. Then let's jump over to gold, right there. Let's see what it is like on Chicago. I thought that was down too, I think it was, yeah. Just a little bit, nothing major, just a little pressure on it. But still in a daily buy. Now what I caught was interesting this morning is that the weekly had pushed itself underneath. It's like, can't they keep this thing going? I mean, what is the issue? We got inflation. Why won't they lift these things up? To me, it seems totally odd. Let's see. Trying to figure out where. Okay, yeah, okay. So, let's now, because of gold, kind of flattish, but technically up. You see it both on J4X and the Chicago Quant, and oil kind of sloppy down too. We're wondering now, will the South African Rand be moving up a little bit? Let's take a look and see. It wouldn't surprise me if it was just flat. Right there. Let's put it up over here. Oop. Let's do this like that. There we are. Yep. Still pressing down. So to me, it wouldn't surprise me at all that we actually see the actual price today as flat. Just because, I don't know, you know, the metals complex, it's hard to believe that they can sell this stuff. You know, gold and silver and platinum and so forth. How can they sell this stuff with inflation moving up? You can see there, it's still pressing down. Lots of red. Just like here on J4X, lots of red. You know, bearish there, and we're the same way. We've been bearish since there. I think we're missing lines there. Let's put two lines in. That one was the buy, and that one was the sell. There we are. So it's been in a sell since this big move right there. And again, I don't, you know, it's the end of the year. I don't have strong opinions on anything. Are we seeing something new occurring? Are they breaking out? I think it's an indication that usually when you see this thing going down, I do seem to lean into the idea that the metals will find a way to turn back up. Another sip of tea. And so from there, let's go take a look at the ruble. Right there. I actually heard a money manager this morning talk the way I do about the ruble. You know, with the country having such great potential. You know, I kind of think I'd say, oh, look at this. The weekly is going into a sell. That's a good thing. I guess no invasion helps out. You can see it here, there. And so pressure's been down in the last couple of days, nothing major there. And now the weekly is trying to join in. And like I said, due to the fact that we haven't seen, I just shake my head when they talk about like invasions and stuff like that. I kind of think that if it wasn't for the incompetency of Mr. Biden, things would be a lot more peaceful. I don't think there's anything it's worth even discussing. But we do think that the ruble has great potential because of its workforce, its assets, its history. They're moving constantly towards a better capitalism, so forth and so on. So, unfortunately, it's a little tangled in the law and order is kind of tangled up. But overall, we keep on expecting to see a lot of good things coming out of the Russian Federation over the years to come. Now we'll take a look at the yen. As we saw in the Nikkei, a little pressure on the downside. So let's see what the yen is doing. Right there. Put it up on the screen here. And it's holding up. So, in other words, it's running up against the dollar, so the dollar is gaining against it. And you can see it went into a weekly buy last week, and it's showing some good firmness there. And we've been in a daily buy since like right there. Let's grab one of these and just put it there. So it's in a daily buy there. Save that. I guess we don't follow it as I could have sworn we put our lines in there at times, but it just seems to disappear like there. There's the sell. And then there's the buy, so let's move that buy over like so. And then we go into, do we get into a sell? Yeah, we get into the sell right there. And then what we do is we go back into a buy like right there, that one over. And then we do another sell here, so it's just right there. There's the sell, and then it goes back into a buy. A lot of noise there, I love these pairs trades, like the one that 47 follows. The British pound yen, it's much smoother. Definitely a much better trade. Yo, middle age. I have an order to take some profits on corn. Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you. Did you see the feeder cattle and all that stuff? The way they took off. Oh my God. I mean, they really ran the cattle, and they really jacked the prices up. It was really wild. Let's see. Let's throw them up on the machine here. And oh, did you see the soybeans? See the way the soybeans are moving? Look at soybeans up on J4X. There's the soybeans. And they're making that move. We were in the 12s just recently. Now we're in the 13s. So, and then I think corn, I thought I saw corn. Let me go check out corn. But corn is, I know it's in the plus over, it's over $6, that's for sure. I think it was like 604, 605 last week. And this morning we're looking at, 612. Okay, so you're You're pretty much there. 14.75 is the high. Were you offering at 16? Well, I hope it gets there. It's acting pretty well. Really would love to see, well, in the end result is these things are at all-time highs, and I don't get the feeling that they're going down. I mean, people want food. Do people want food? Yeah, I think people want food. It is one of the funnier things to think about, but maybe crops are not as good around the world, and so in the end result, it's a nice sip of tea down here. And so, what you get is you have, money pouring into the commodity, and we do have inflation. And as funny as it is, odd, doesn't make sense. The metals complex does not seem to want to participate with the inflation, whereas, the commodities are doing it very comfortably, especially the grains and the meats and the agriculturals. They're really doing it. They're really holding up very well. All right. So from there, what can we go to next? I just want to put soybeans up on this because we have the J4X has the soybeans on it. And there it is. There's the January contract. Yeah, so I mean, we've gone from no more than the beginning of December, we were in the low 12s. We are now in the mid 13s. We went into the weekly buy here at the low 12s. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it was 12 and a half. And the following week after that, it made a new low. We were in a daily sell. This was where we first were allowed to get long, right there. So it was a fair move. Then we saw this little profit-taking thing go on. Didn't last long. Here's our second move right there. And so we've been long for the two buys that we got have been winner chicken dinners. See how it was in the Marches. Yeah, the March has been in a buy since October or something? Yeah, September. Corn has been in a buy, weekly buy since the low 5.5 area. And the buys have been pretty good. There's a buy, there's a buy, there's a buy, there's a buy, there's another wonderful buy. So it's had some really good wins. All right, from there, let's see, what do we do? Oh, we want to go check out peso. That's it. Let's check out the peso. There's the peso. And let's put it up on Chicago. Peso, peso, peso. There we are. And you can see here the peso is, look at that. Closed in a weekly sell last week. Cool. Let's put that in there. Maybe whatever shook that stuff is getting shaken out. It's going away. So we went into the weekly sell last week, and we've been in a daily sell for a bunch of, I guess it's like right here. So we've been in the daily sell since right there. Let's put that in there. And we had a couple days of a daily buy, but we were in a weekly buy. Okay, yeah, so that was fair at best. I don't know how good you're nimble. You get long, and the thing takes off a little bit, and it starts to come down. If you have a good stop in there, you lock in some profits, and then maybe give up some profits at the same time. But in the end result, it was a soft little good move compared to some of the great ones we've had, like this one here. All right, that's the end of the 4 pairs trades that we look at. Anybody wants to see anything else, just shout it out. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to the metals complex, and then we'll go look at the energy complex. So here is silver. Let's see where the mouse, there's the mouse. Now silver, I think it's showing strength this morning. No, not anymore. But it's still in the daily buy. and the weekly buy is trying to lift up. But you can see here in the J4X, as much as it's been strong, it's really not taking out too many highs, you know? It's pretty down still. Now that's, in some ways, that's almost like a reverse head and shoulders. It wasn't for these two crazy heads. It would be interesting to see if we're going to finally get some buying in this stuff. I mean, didn't anybody hear yet? We have inflation. Alright, copper, another one of those, starting to show some good strength, also at the same time, right there. A little weak this morning, but still firm, and the weekly is just a minus 0.0003. So, just a little weakness in there, trying to get into the weekly buy for the first time in, what's that, 2, 4, 5, 6 weeks. So, let's see what it looks like on J4X, copper. There it is right there. And so that's the pretty much the way it's played out. Now let's take a look at that back month crude that we were talking about right there. So it went into the weekly buy last week. It's been in a daily buy since here. It was through it most, I guess not most of the week, just the end of the week. So it's not really doing too well for us at the moment. We'll see how long that holds on. Now, natural gas is something fascinating. I mean, we've seen incredible heights in Europe of the price. And, you know, we have, supposedly prices are starting to move down because a lot of companies here are shipping natural gas in ships to Europe because the price is so high. The arbitrage is just, you know, it's 10 times. It's not like, you know, a quarter or an eighth. It's like $30. I mean, you got to jump on that. Try to do some type of arbitrage. Now, let's see what we got here. It showed to you on J4X. There's the British one. As I've heard it, now that there's supposedly like a flotilla, like ships going back and forth now to Europe with tons of natural gas. So maybe this is going to top it out. I saw a headline that said something like natural gas all-time highs, then hit hard, then back to all-time highs, and then hit hard again. And so that is the British natural gas situation, and that's, you see it's at the top end of its range. So of course they're going to send ships over there with tons of inventory. Let's see, what other one is there? Here is the U.S., and you can see the crazy difference of it all. Let's see, where's that? Let's see, nat gas. It's here somewhere. There it is right there. That's the American nat gas. So we're like $3.80. Europe is like $36. So of course, you know, the capitalist side of us are going to jump out and make some do-re-mi. What a great arbitrage. Imagine they've shipped it over there for $0.50 difference and $0.25 difference, and now it's trading at $30 difference. $30. You would think that, well, I saw these satellite shots, you know, where they're following ships, and there was just all these natural gas ships just cutting across the Atlantic. Let's see. All right, so that's pretty much the end of natural gas. Let's see, what do we have? Heating oil, I guess. Just to take a look. I mean, we see crude oil down a little bit. So let's just see where heating oil is here in the States. There it is right there. Holding up. You know, it's off its lows. There's the highs over the last month and a half, 2 months. Now it's 2.5 months. And it's been trying to climb. And now you can see it's trying to pierce the weekly also. So when it comes to the energy complex, you can see the strength in it at this point in time. All right, now from there, let's see. So we've done gold and copper and silver, and we've done natural gas and crude oil and so forth. So let's see what we got. We got plenty of time. We got plenty of room. We can take a look at some of the other products that are going on, like the stock indices. They seem to be very firm at the moment. So let's get that up there. And here is the Tech 100, the NASDAQ, which is like a major pillar in the stock indice world. Right there, Tech 100. Let's get it up over here. Let's see, where's that mouse? Right there. Mouse. There it is, right there. You can see here it's cruising along at the highs of the day. Trying to get into the weekly buy with no problem there. You can see that. I thought I put a little circly thing around that. What's going on there? Not that. There we go. So end of the year, they're reaching for these products and trying to lift them up or close them out, one or the other. That is the NASDAQ. You can see it here on J4X right here. And let's see how the weekly is looking at in J4X too. So we have another sip of our tea. And where's the white lines? There we are. Doing the same thing, trying to pierce up. We got a green hinky going on. So both are lining up. Chicago Quant and the J4X is doing a fine job. I think we labeled, what was it, Friday? I think we labeled our webinar something like slow stochastics, fast stochastics versus MACD, something like that. We were talking about that. We were looking at the technicals on Friday. Let's see, that is that. Let's check out the S&P 500, see how it's looking. We did that for 47 a little while ago, but let's see if there's anything else we can figure out from there. Let's see. Right there, yeah. So it's doing the same thing, and that is the weekly we put up on here. You can see it's doing the same thing. It's busting through. And let's go to the daily now. And that should be very firm also. Like so, yeah. So we're seeing that upwardly pressure with just 3 more trading days besides today. And we haven't even started the day here in the States. So, there's a lot of still action to come. From there, we'll take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Right there. And there's the Dow. Buy just closing a buy on Wednesday last week. And it closed in a weekly buy last week also. Now let's see how it looks on, there it is on J4X. Let's put the weekly in there. Doing the same thing, showing that strength. And now, it's not that, I guess, if any of them are weak, it's the NASDAQ and the Russell, whereas the S&Ps and the Dow Jones Industrial Average have flirted with all-time highs, going up to it, traded, closed over it, that type of thing, and then falls down. So now we are coming into the end. We'll see how they treat that. Let's see, what else is there? I guess that's about it when it comes to understanding the way the stock indices. We saw Nikkei kind of playing weak this morning. With the way the U.S. markets are moving, they will try to lift them. Nikkei will go electronically into the plus or something like that. All right. let's click there. Robin says, would you like to use Doc's analysis? Oh, cool. Cool. Cool, 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 and cool. What else we got going on here? I guess that's about it. I'm just waiting to see if anybody has anything. If not, I think I could drift over to some of the other things we have in J4X and see if we can find some other interesting things that are going on. One of them over in currencies that we rarely get a chance to look at much anymore is the like the kroner or something like that. We don't really look at the kroner. I just got in a bad habit from decades upon decades of watching the kroner not do much to now seeing it more active. And now, ever since quantitative easing, all these pairs trades that weren't that active have become very active, which is kind of neat, in its own way. And you can see here the kroner on a weekly basis is trying to, finish off the year pushing at its highs right there. See that? This is where it started, went down, and came back up. And the end result is that a lot of these currencies, which were quiet pairs, have become interestingly active pairs. Just like with, where's it at? Let's go over to here. Like with 47, watching the Gbp Jpy. A pairs trade that didn't have much activity to it. I mean, it was okay, because it was the cable and it was the yen. But overall, it was nowhere near what they refer to as the leading currencies, or the primary currencies. I think that's how they refer to it, as primary currencies. Now, everything is a primary currency. Let's see, where are you at? Gbp Jpy, right there. And I do enjoy looking at that because, look at it, some of the times it can get into a trend, or like the buy here goes on for a whole week. The trend here went on for 2.5 weeks. Here's another one, goes into a daily sell. Now, I'm not sure why there's two of those like that. That should be moved over in case we need it. Oh, I guess you could say right there. And so, let's see, the sell, let's grab that sell right there. And so this product in particular, sometimes it really, and you can see the gaps, the distance from here to there. I think this is the one over there, more like that. And there's a lot of distance between the signals, which is nice. You want to get into something that trends, as a consistency, a steady trend. So in this case here, like the Gbp Jpy, this is one of them that has that. And we do notice how what was usually called a minor pair trade is now equal with the majors. The majors were the euro, the British pound, the Japanese yen, the Canadian, the Swiss. These were all against the dollar. And then the stock indice that's referred to as the dollar index had the kroner in there. So it was those 6 pairs, I guess it was. Let's see, euro, cable, yen, Canadian, Swiss, and kroner. So it was only 6 pairs in there. But now, ever since quantitative easing, a lot of these pairs trades have been very active and have the liquidity, have the opportunity, and there seems to be a consistency. We see that consistency every year now since the beginning of quantitative easing, that minor pairs trades are not so minor anymore. We had a fellow who used to do webinars here, Janash, and he was saying, with quantitative easing, it was so fascinating to see minor pairs trades become leading indicators, and that was a real breakthrough in the general idea. And then we figured that when quantitative easing truly does end, we'll know it through the minor pairs that are now with the major pairs. We will assume that automatically that they won't have the influence that they once had, solely because, when you're talking about $1.5 trillion every night put into the overnight market to be lent, and basically it energizes the whole complex. You know, I mean, I'm talking about the whole financial complex, from bonds to stocks to currencies to metals. You know, it influences everything, and there's no way you can cut that out. Unfortunately, the general media doesn't have much of a desire to talk about it or even analyze it. That's the thing. That's what's really irritating about it all. Most of the, like the Bloomberg and the CNBC and so forth, they don't analyze something that's right and plain in our face, and that is the quantitative easing and how it treats the markets. Instead, they still talk the same games like, oh yes, earnings were really good, and you know, employment and growth is fair for the situation of inflation. You know, they talk these fundamentals when we all know that the fundamentals are not moving the markets. It's really the Federal Reserve, and then they prop them up a little bit here and there. And next thing you know is when there's an economic number. Janos used to have a video out on that. He was at a webinar, you know, and basically, you know, showed that that trading had ended in the sense of influencing markets for hours and days and possibly even weeks. Now the influence of economic news influences a product literally seconds and minutes, and then it's over with. And so that's the amazing part at my end. I'm amazed that they're not looking at what's plain as the nose on their face. All right, let's see, what other pairs do I find fascinating that we rarely get a chance to look at? Since this is a currency pair, you know, I like to look at that. I think there was a, what was it? Was it the Euro Swiss? You know, it kind of reminded me that explosion. Let's take a look at the Euro Swiss on J4X on a monthly basis. Right? We're going to make this bigger because one of the things that really sticks out in my mind at this moment in time is the Turkish lira move when the I guess it was the Swiss bank stopped supporting. They did the reverse. Stopped supporting the Swiss Euro pairs trade, okay, or Euro Swiss pairs trade, however you want to call it. Let's go like this with a month, and let's put the Euro Turkish lira in there. I'm wondering if we're going to see that same action. This is what I'm going to show you. Is, let's see, where's it at? Euro cable. There it is, right there. Now this is the monthly. This goes back to that wild time where they stopped supporting it. It was back in here somewhere. Maybe we have to just move it over. It was like around 16 or something like that. Maybe we put a weekly in there. Maybe that'll make it look better. Okay. Now, and what they did is they crushed the. Oh no, I got Turkish lira in there. No wonder it doesn't make any sense. We want to see Euro Swiss right there. What happened was, I guess it was around 2015, I want to say. And when that happened, you know, it was earth-shaking, you know. Let's see if we can spot it. You should be able to see it. It was like just like the way Turkish lira was. There it is. Now if we widen that a little bit and we'll move it over, like so, that was a blast. You know, it just, you know, they stopped supporting it. It fell all the way down. This is a weekly for 1 week. Bounced and you know, balanced itself, and then, you know, based itself, and pretty much, you know, it's been trapped in that range in a sense in the 90s, you know, ever since. Let's see, show you. Well, no, you know what I want to do now is I want to put the Euro Turkish lira up of what we just saw. And see if it looks like this action here. Somewhat, you know, just as big a drop in a sense, And now what we'll do is we'll see if it bounces around for like 2 or 3 weeks, and the next thing you know, let me show you what happened with the Euro Turkish Lira. I'm sorry, Euro Swiss franc. What it did, the moment I saw that, I thought that. I really did. I thought, wow, that reminds me of 2015. Let's see, go back to it. Right. There's 2015. There it is, yeah. At the first quarter of 2015. It took a couple weeks and then slowly flattened out, found ways to get somewhat, not all the way up to here, of course, but it did stay firm for a long while. It didn't get to 120 or anything like that. 122, where the, see that where it started was like 122 and a half, something like that, right there, and 119, and so it found a way to climb back up. But that really shook up the financial world for a while there. Then you could see the Swiss went on a run and started to make its move right back to where it had gotten clocked over a couple-year period. So, in my mind, I kind of want to say, I don't think it's going to work in the end unless government policies are changed. But I could see the Turkish lira holding up relatively firm for a little while. That would not surprise me any. It would not. But that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of the slam of Euro Swiss back in 2015. So we might see, let's just go to a daily on the Euro Turkish lira. We might see like a couple weeks where it just stays down in here. There's the daily. It might just kind of bounce around this area. This may be the big support. And then you can see what happened was that the Euro Turkish lira, Euro Swiss climbed back up and did not shift from there. I think that's what the title of this will be: 2015 Swiss versus 2021 lira. I think that'll be the title today. All right, traders. This is Doc from North America. We will catch you all tomorrow, same time, same channel. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Catch you later, cowboys.